Life is not a smooth path, it is a jagged journey carved with struggles, failures and heartbreaks. When difficulty comes knocking at your door, the natural tendency is to retreat, to surrender. But understand this, the universe is not here to make your journey easy. It is here to make you alive, to awaken the dormant power within you. When you face failure, do not see it as a punishment but as a teacher. It is not that life is against you, but that life is urging you to stretch beyond your known limits. The moment you think about giving up, know that you are standing at the edge of a breakthrough. If you turn back now, the lesson will remain incomplete and the potential within you will remain unfulfilled. Persistence is not about blind endurance. It is the intelligent refusal to let go of your purpose. It is the dignity of standing tall even when the winds of despair try to break you. In the struggle, you discover your strength. Not the strength of muscle, but the strength of spirit. You must understand that growth is a process of falling and rising repeatedly. It is in these moments of pain and difficulty that your character is forged. Every failure is not a dead end but a stepping stone to a new beginning. To never give up is not merely an act of will, it is an act of love for yourself and for the life that has been entrusted to you. So rise again every time you fall. Be relentless, be alive. Because in the end, the one who never gives up is the one who truly wins. Not because the world bowed down, but because their spirit refused to be bowed. Life is a river that flows without pause, and along its course, it carries with it stones, bends and sudden falls that cannot be avoided. For the very nature of existence is movement and change, and in that movement, challenges arise not as obstacles to be feared, but as necessary parts of the current that shapes us into who we are meant to become. For no human being walks a path free of struggle. For it is within the contrast of hardship and ease that life reveals its true texture. And if there were no challenges, then there would be no growth, no discovery, no deepening of understanding that comes only when the comfortable ground beneath us gives way and we are called to rise in new ways. These difficulties are not punishments or signs of failure, but rather the natural rhythms of life unfolding, like the seasons that bring storms to cleanse the earth and prepare it for new, reminding us that every discomfort carries within it the seed of transformation waiting patiently for us to tend. To resist the inevitability of challenges is to resist the flow of life itself, and in that resistance, we find suffering multiplied. But to embrace them as teachers, as invitations to expand beyond the limited versions of ourselves, is to open the door to wisdom that cannot be gained through ease or certainty. The landscape of our lives is shaped by these inevitable encounters with pain, loss, confusion and uncertainty, and these are the elements that carve the depth of our character and sharpen the clarity of our vision. For without darkness, the light has no meaning, and without struggle, lamp is hollow. It is not that life wishes to burden us, but that life unfolds in such a way that challenges become the very means through which we come to know our strength, our resilience, and our capacity to be more than what we imagined possible when faced with adversity that stretches us beyond familiar boundaries. In recognizing that challenges are natural, we come to understand that the journey is never meant to be one of ease, but of continuous becoming, where every hardship is a brushstroke on the canvas of our existence, contributing to a masterpiece that is not static but always in motion, alive with meaning. And so when the next challenge comes, as it surely will, there is a knowing that it is simply part of the sacred dance of life, inviting us to awaken, to grow, and to move forward with courage that arises not in the absence of difficulty, but through the willingness to face it without fear or hesitation, flowing endlessly onward. Giving up often appears like a quiet door swinging open in the midst of chaos, inviting the weary to step through and find rest. Yet this door is deceptive because what lies beyond is not freedom but a silent cage where the real challenges only grow larger in the shadows, waiting for another moment to be faced again, unchanged and unresolved. And so the ease of surrender is an illusion that promises relief but delivers a deeper unrest. When we choose to give up, it feels like a moment of relief, as if the weight of the world has been lifted from our shoulders. But in truth, it is a retreat, it is a retreat that distances us from our true potential and the lessons that hardship offers. For the pain that once pressed upon us is not dissolved but hidden beneath layers of avoidance, where it festers quietly, waiting to surface in new forms until we finally decide to face it with courage. Giving up is not a solution because it is an act of escape, a turning away from the possibility of transformation, and though it may appear like the easiest path at the moment, it is a path that leads only to stagnation and regret, for life demands movement, and when we stop moving forward, we deny the very essence of what it means to be alive. a continuous unfolding, a constant becoming that cannot exist without effort and persistence. The temptation to give up grows stronger in moments when the struggle feels too heavy, when hope seems fragile and distant, and when the mind whispers lies about our inadequacy. But these moments are precisely when the soul calls out for steadfastness, for an inner resilience that knows that no real progress can be made by abandoning the journey, no matter how difficult it may seem in the now. Choosing not to give up is a declaration of faith, not faith in some external guarantee, but faith in the power within ourselves to endure, to learn and to transform. For every great story is marked by chapters of hardship where the protagonist faces the temptation to surrender, but chooses instead to rise again, understanding that true victory is not the absence of struggle, but the refusal to be defeated by it. Giving up removes the possibility of growth because growth requires facing discomfort and uncertainty. And it is in the womb of struggle that new strength, wisdom and clarity are born. So when we surrender too soon, we miss the gifts hidden within the challenge. And we close ourselves from the deeper experience of life that unfolds only when we lean into what frightens us. The easiest way out is always an illusion because ease without effort does not cultivate the soul. And peace that comes from avoidance is fragile and temporary. So real peace is not found in giving up, but in facing the struggle with honesty and courage, allowing it to shape us into beings who are not broken by hardship but made whole through it. And so when the voice inside urges you to give up, remember that this is not the way, for the path forward, though steep and uncertain, leads to a place where the soul is freed not by escape, but by endurance, by the choice to keep moving, keep trying, keep believing, and in this endless journey, you find the true meaning of strength and the profound peace that comes from knowing you never stopped fighting for your own life. Persistence is not merely an act of stubbornness or blind endurance, but the profound recognition that your existence and your efforts matter deeply. And when you continue despite hardship, doubt or failure, you honor yourself by refusing to let circumstances define your worth or your destiny. For persistence is a declaration that you are worthy of your own time and energy regardless of the external outcomes. To persist is to hold sacred the promise you made to yourself long ago, the promise to keep moving forward even when the world seems indifferent or hostile. Because in that commitment, you are cultivating a relationship with yourself that is built on respect, trust, and unwavering belief in your own capacity to grow beyond your present limitations, no matter how steep the climb may appear. When you persist, you are saying to yourself that your dreams, your goals and your growth are not fleeting whims, but essential parts of who you are becoming. And this refusal to abandon your path in the face of difficulty is the clearest form of self-honor, where you acknowledge that giving up would mean denying the value of your own journey and the potential that lies within your struggles. Persistence is the soil in which self-respect grows. For each step taken in the face of adversity nourishes your inner strength and deepens your sense of integrity. And this is not a race or contest against others, but a sacred dance with your own spirit, where every moment of continuing forward is a celebration of your commitment to yourself that no external failure can erase. In the moments when the body wants to surrender and the mind whispers that it is enough, persistence becomes an act of love. Love for the self that dares to dream and acts upon those dreams. Love for the parts of you that are fragile and fearful yet still willing to stand again. And in this relentless pursuit, you find a kind of peace born not from ease but from the powerful acknowledgement that you are holding your own hand through the storm. This form of self-respect is not loud or boastful, it is quiet and steady like the roots of a great tree that withstand the harshest winds without breaking. And it grows through patience, resilience and the unshakable knowing that your worth is not measured by immediate success but by your refusal to quit on yourself no matter how many times you fall, how slow the progress may seem. To persist is to live in alignment with the truth that you are the guardian of your own life's sacred flame, and by keeping that flame alive through every challenge, you are claiming a space in the world that only you can fill, not by accident but through the deliberate ongoing choice to respect the essence of who you are and what you are becoming. And so persistence is not just about achieving goals, but about cultivating a deep, abiding respect for the self that refuses to be diminished, a respect that shines through in every action, every breath, and every step forward, endlessly reminding you that to persist is to honor the sacred promise of your own existence and to live as the fullest expression of your own truth. Growth is a process that cannot be separate from struggle, for comfort is the resting place of the familiar, where the soul remains unchanged and the boundaries of possibility remain firmly in place. And it is only when we step beyond that safety into the realm of difficulty and discomfort that true transformation begins to take root, challenging us to expand in ways we never imagined. When life presents struggle, it is not a punishment or an error but a necessary force that shakes us from complacency and pushes us to discover new strengths, new insights, and new depths within ourselves. For the tension created by discomfort is like the pressure that turns coal into diamonds, shaping us through fire and resistance rather than ease. In comfort, the mind tends to settle, the heart grows quiet, and the spirit becomes dull. But in struggle, every fiber of our being is activated. Our senses sharpen and our awareness widens, creating fertile ground for growth to flourish in the cracks where pain and challenge meet. The courage to face them. Struggle invites us to shed old skins, habits, beliefs, and limitations that no longer serve us, and to step into an unknown space where growth is not guaranteed but is made possible through the willingness to be vulnerable, to fail, and to keep moving forward despite uncertainty and fear. The discomfort that accompanies struggle is the voice of life calling us to awaken from the slumber of comfort and to engage deeply with the raw material of existence, reminding us that ease is a temporary illusion and real growth requires the messy, unpredictable, and sometimes painful process of transformation that cannot be rushed or avoided. Every time we choose struggle over comfort, we are choosing life over stagnation, evolution over inertia. And by embracing the difficulties that come our way, we allow ourselves to become more than what we were, to expand beyond the familiar borders of our identity and reach new horizons of possibility. Comfort is a resting place, but struggle is a gateway, and those who learn to walk through the fire of difficulty emerge stronger, wiser, and more whole, carrying within the proof that growth is never found in the absence of challenge, but in the courageous engagement with life's ever-changing tides. When discomfort arises, a truly will, it is an invitation, not a threat to move beyond what is comfortable, to trust in the process that unfolds through struggle, and to know that growth is a continuous journey of becoming that can only happen when we face what is hard, keep moving forward, and allow ourselves to be reshaped by the very challenges we once wished to avoid. Failure is not the opposite of success, but an essential part of its foundation, a necessary step on the path that all who achieve greatness must walk. Because without falling, without stumbling, there can be no learning, no deepening of understanding, and no growth that prepares the way for real and lasting achievement. Each failure carries within it a lesson that is hidden beneath the surface of disappointment and regret. And it is only when we choose to look closely, to embrace the discomfort of what went wrong, that we begin to uncover the insights that transform failure from an end into a new beginning, filled with possibility. To see failure as a stepping stone is to shift the lens through which we view our experiences, recognizing that every setback is not a door closing but a moment to pause, reflect, and gather strength for the next effort. And in this perspective, failure becomes a vital teacher that guides us closer to our goals rather than a reason to abandon them. Success is rarely born in ease. It is forged in the crucible of repeated attempts, each marked by failures that test our resolve and sharpen our skills. And those who reach their destination are those who refuse to be defined by their faults, but instead use them as platforms from which to rise again, higher and wiser than before. When failure strikes, it can feel like a heavy burden that threatens to crush our spirit. But in truth, it is a call to awaken to the resilience that already lives within us. A reminder that the journey to success is not a straight line, but a winding path where persistence and learning are the true companions. The stepping stones of failure are scattered along the road of every great achievement. And those who recognize their value are not discouraged by the missteps but see them as markers that map the terrain of their growth, helping them navigate with greater clarity and courage toward the vision they hold. To embrace failure is to honor the process of becoming, knowing that every experience, whether labeled success or failure by the world, contributes to the unfolding of who we are meant to be. And in this embrace, the fear of falling fades, replaced by a steady confidence that each step forward, no matter how imperfect, moves us closer to our destiny. And so, when the weight of failure feels heavy upon your shoulders, remember that you are not defeated but are instead standing upon the very stones that will build the bridge to your success. A bridge constructed not from the absence of struggle, but from the courage to continue and transform every failure into the foundation of your ultimate triumph.